Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Real stories, powerful insights, and weekly inspiration to help you rise above life's challenges. Let's lift off with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yes. Good afternoon, Lincoln, Nebraska. It's Dr. Chatters, and I am really excited to be with you all today. It is a beautiful day here in Lincoln, Nebraska, as usual. And on production today, I have Tristan. And Tristan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well.
Good.
It's a beautiful Saturday here in Lincoln, and I'm excited to hear you and what your guests have to talk about.
Absolutely. So we are in for an absolute treat today. I have an amazing guest on the line right now, and we're really excited to talk to him. This gentleman has a distinguished coaching career and a distinguished playing career here at Nebraska. Was here back in the early 80s. And, you know, honestly, I heard so much about him before I had the chance to meet him. And so I'm just excited to have the opportunity for you all to get to hear his story today and learn a little bit more about our special guest. So, ladies and gentlemen, introducing to the Law of Lift show today, Mr. Tony Samuel. Tony, how are you doing today?
Well, good morning. How you doing, Dr. Chatters?
I am doing really well. It is so great to have you on the show today. And, you know, I just want to thank you for taking time to be on the show with us today. And I just wanted to tell a quick funny story before we get started. And I'm happy to have you on. But you guys, when I first reached out to Coach, you know, I was excited about having him here in the studio. And so we were texting back and forth. And I was just like, okay, this is where we're going to be doing the show and everything. And he said, wait, I'm in Nevada. So, you know, I quickly realized that I wouldn't necessarily have him in the studio live, but I'm still happy to have him on the phone line with us today. So, Tony, you know, I like I said, I heard a lot about you before I had the opportunity to meet you, and I heard about you from a number of different people, and just kind of about how much of a great presence you were as a coach, and then also as a fellow player as well. And so I'm excited to tell our guests your story today. So could you maybe just start us out with, and this is the first question I usually ask my guests, and so you're probably not expecting this one. It's going to put you into thought a little bit, but can you tell us where your name Tony came from and why you were named Tony, if you happen to know that story? Why were you named Tony? Why did your parents decide to name you Tony?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question, for real. And actually, Anthony is my middle name. And Marlon is my first name. No one in my life, other than our old secretary, Joni Duff, called me Marlon. And
Okay.
I don't know where Tony came from, but my entire life, my mom, my dad, my grandparents, all my friends, some people, I would tell them Marlon and they'd be shocked. But I really don't know where Anthony or Tony came from.
Really? So there was just a point in your life that it was Tony more often than it was ever Marlon, right? And then you kind of kept going with that. Okay.
It was Tony only.
Only. I see. So no,
Yeah.
like you said, no one knew except Joni Duff, right? That Marlon was somewhere on the government documents, right?
Somewhere it was on there.
That's great. So tell our guests about where you were born and what it was like to grow up in Trinidad, because that's another thing, you guys that are listening, that you know, Tony and I have in common in that. So he was born in Trinidad and Tobago, and my mother is also from Trinidad and Tobago. So when I heard that about his background, I was automatically very interested in just knowing. So tell us, what was it like growing up in Trinidad? Because it looks like you stayed there until you were about 10 years old, maybe give or take, right? So tell us about what it was like growing up in Trinidad.
Well, yeah, you're right. I grew up there. We moved to Jersey City, New Jersey, in July of 1966, and I turned 11 in November of that same year. But growing up down there was amazing. You know, that's where all the family was from. My mother's side of the family is all from Tobago, which is the sister island, smaller island paradise. I'm stating a fact.
Yes.
And Trinidad was more populated, more industrial, banking, oil, tourism, all the above. And my mother and father met when my mother was in nursing school and my father was at university. He's an architect. And but we lived in a very quiet part of the island. So it was just outside of the second largest city, San Fernando.
Okay.
And, we had a great, quiet life. We lived 200 yards from the ocean. We swam every single day we possibly could. And my grandparents lived up on the hill. It's a decent walk, but for kids on the island, that was nothing for us to just roam around and feel very safe about it.
Yes.
We had a blast. The education system was very British, and it was a little more accelerated, very intense. The sports were soccer, cricket. We did some swimming. I loved to go to cycling, and there's some other different races like that. Track and field, of course, was a huge deal.
Yes.
And so when I was growing up down there, we didn't have much of the fancy technology as we do now.
Right.
So I never saw football on television. Very seldom we would be able to see a little bit of basketball. The sports we saw on television was the ones I mentioned.
Yes.
Cricket was a big deal down there. Big deal. And of course, soccer was as well. And in the Pan American Games, track and field was huge.
Absolutely. So, and one of the things that I've also heard about Trinidad is that there's a pitch lake there, right? And people always talk about the pitch lake. And, my mom would talk about that growing up, just absolute like pitch, right? Out there in the middle of the island. Do you recall the pitch lake when you were growing up? And did you ever go down there?
Well, we didn't live too far from there.
Okay.
San Fernando is the southwest part. There's an area called the Gulf of Paria. The pitch break is the La Brea pitch lake, you know?
Yes.
And we would go down there. It was an amazing place. It was bubbling. Most of the world's asphalt at that time came from this same little spot. It's not very little. And it just bubbled at times. And, anytime our family or friends that hadn't been to Trinidad or came back, we had a lot of people, of course, as you well know, from the United States and England and Canada. And when they came back, if any of the offspring that never were in Trinidad came down there, that was a stop.
I see.
Everyone wanted to go to the La Brea tar pits, as you call it, as we all call it down there, the pitch lake.
Yes. Well, that's amazing. And that's exactly where my mother is from. She's from the La Brea area. And so, she spoke really highly about just the beauty of Trinidad. And just as you said, she said it was very quiet. And my mother actually came to the United States in 1967. So you all weren't very far behind each other on kind of when you came here. And so tell us about what it was that actually brought your family to the United States and what that was like for you being a 10-year-old boy, leaving this beautiful oasis and moving to the booming city of Jersey City, I think, right? So tell us what that was about.
Yeah. So, we flew into Kennedy Airport, first of all.
Okay.
One of the bigger airports at the time in the world. And we landed in there, and the first thing we did was take a drive through Manhattan on the way to Jersey City. So that was my first time as a 10-year-old boy seeing all these skyscrapers and all glory above. It was an amazing thing. Now, keep in mind, Trinidad at that time, now it's well developed with their own amount of skyscrapers, especially in the Port of Spain area. We all spoke with a heavy Trinidadian accent. So when we came to America, coming in, I went into school 2 weeks after we landed. I went to grammar school in the 5th grade, and I wasn't teased, but it was difficult communicating. I could understand what the American children were saying. They had difficulty understanding what I was saying at that time. That didn't last long to assimilate, of course, but that was one of the things that stick out in my head.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. And as you mentioned, again, at the time, Trinidad wasn't very developed. So to come over here and drive through Manhattan, by the way, that's a very harrowing experience for anybody who drives through Manhattan for the first time, seeing skyscrapers, even people, of course, that go out there from Nebraska and other places in the Midwest where we don't have that type of industrial development. And so you must have just been absolutely astonished at the size of the buildings, the amount of traffic, the amount of people, the fact that, for the most part, there was no beach as far as you could see, right? And you had just come from paradise, and here you are in the city, right? And so you get to Jersey City. It sounds like you started to acclimate. Of course, as young children, we acclimate faster. And so you get to playing with friends in the community and getting to know people and understanding more the vernacular of Jersey, which in and of itself has a unique accent, right? And so what was that like for you, just to, transfer from the Trinidadian system with school into the American system with school? And tell us about what kind of student you were back then, because I know your family had a very high level of expectation at home when it came to education, if they're like any other Trinidadian parents, right? So how did you acclimate to the school system, and talk to us about when you started to get into playing the American sport of football, when that started?
Yeah, well, that was crazy. The day after we landed, we moved into an apartment complex. The top floor of the complex was the 3rd floor. We lived on the 3rd floor. And our bedroom window was right outside where the children played. So, of course, the next day when we woke up, the first thing we did after we got dressed and all that, we ran down those steps and went right in and met the friends. And they taught us everything.
Okay.
They taught us all the games, all the new rules. And, I mean, they weren't as surprised as I thought they would be, because we did have one set of family that were Puerto Rican, and they understood the transition because, Puerto Rico had the basketball and all of that.
Yes.
And so they helped. But everyone taught us games like punch ball, kickball, all similar to baseball rules. Football, it took me forever to even really truly get into football. We were all athletic as children. I'm the youngest of 3.
Of 3, okay.
Yeah. And my brother, a little over a year older, was an extremely athletic individual. And so I pretty much just followed his lead. Whatever he did, I did. And we started learning how to play football, just a sandlot type football. We raced it a lot. It was great to be around some good friends that were very athletic. And so they always were racing and running, and there was always something athletic that we were doing. And at that age, how quick you learn,
yes.
And so we picked it up really fast. And 2 weeks after we came there, my brother and I enrolled. My mother put us in St. Patrick's Grammar School, a Catholic grammar school, about a 5-minute walk from our home.
Okay.
And very good academic school. The class sizes were very, very good for me. I was very, very quiet during that time, especially around authority, but not around friends.
I see.
I'm sure your mom probably tells you about as children in Trinidad, you had very outgoing ones and you had close to introverted ones.
Yes.
I was closer to the introvert
I
than
see.
the outgoing.
Okay.
Yeah, except when I was around my friends, especially if we were playing games or competing. that was a different story. And so going to St. Patrick Grammar School was a blessing for us because the class size was good. We were indoctrinated very well. Most of our teachers were nuns. We had one or two people from the private sector that came in and taught, and really helped me from that perspective to get acclimated. And in that grammar school, the first week, I made lifetime friends that I still talk to today.
Oh my goodness. And so, wow, it was just a very excellent opportunity for you to start getting to know some of the students there. And I'm sure that those lifelong friends helped you to acclimate and understand American culture and feel like you belonged in that school. And that sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, it was really good. And you know, we had such an interesting mix in our classroom. If you look at my grammar school, when I graduated 8th grade back in those days, you graduated 8th grade back in Jersey, and then you went into high school in 9th grade. There was no middle school.
I see.
And our graduating class picture, which I happen to have somewhere, is a mixture of black, and when I say black Americans, black West Indians, a mix there. You had Irish, Polish, you had Italian. There was a real melting pot all in our classroom. And every classroom had that same representation. And so we lived in if not predominantly, but really close to predominantly black neighborhood. But the cultural mix was amazing.
That's awesome. And so, you know, just for people listening, we're talking to Tony Samuel, former Nebraska football coach, former Nebraska football player, just distinguished coach at New Mexico State, and you know, also a number of other stops during his career. And we're just talking with him about his journey to the United States from Trinidad in 1966. And so historically, if you think about during that time frame, you know, again, and he talks about the community that he grew up in, and he talks about all those different types of people that were attending the Catholic school where his parents enrolled him when he first got here. You know, there's some lessons in that. And, you know, it sounds like early on, he learned the importance of being able to get to know people of all different cultures. And it seems like he felt comfortable in that space as well. And it sounds like those are some of the foundational pieces that helped him to really thrive. And so, Tony, tell us about going on to high school, and is that when you really start to excel in football and just really think about, you know, how football is going to be a pretty major part of your life?
Well, the first time I played organized football, I was a freshman in high school. My brother, a year ahead of me, he enrolled at St. Peter's Prep, which is a very powerful athletic program. Neither one of us played organized football until we went to high school. And he was a starting cornerback on the varsity his freshman year. And I was bigger than him and all that, but I didn't have that athletic skill level that he had at that stage. Everything he did, he worked at, and he always developed into a real mechanic in whatever he did. And athletically and as well, academically. So I followed his footsteps. He went to, I knew when he went to prep that I was going to go to St. Peter's Prep. That's just what it was. And in my 7th and 8th grade in grammar school, we started playing tackle football in the sand lots. You know, we no real rules. We were just playing football.
Yes.
And that's when I fell in love with it. I still didn't know the exact rules. And you also have to keep in mind that technology isn't what it is now.
Yes.
We weren't able to pull up a YouTube and watch some sports and get ideas, or even see much on television, or listen to instruction on how to play a game, or learn how to develop at anything that you do.
Right.
So everything was learned pretty much when you were actually there doing it. I'll tell you a quick one. In the 9th grade, first day of practice in full pads, I had no idea how to put those pads on.
I see. Okay.
I had no clue. So I pretty much just watched everybody else put the pads on and mimicked what they did. Of course, you know, that youthful pride wasn't going to have me asking people how to put those things on. And so I was the last one out, but I had it on pretty close to right, and the coaches just adjusted and fitted me up, just snugged everything up for me, and then the rest is history.
The rest is history. So you start at that same high school you mentioned before, a prep school, it sounds like, and they had some pretty powerful athletic programs there. And you know, it sounds like that's where you really fell in love with the game. I mean, it started in the Sandlot, right? Where you were just hitting people pretty hard, right? You're just enjoying hitting people hard and tackling and doing all those great things, but you really excelled at the high school level. So talk to us, and, you know, we're coming up on our first break here soon, but talk to us just a little bit about your high school career and when you started to really think about perhaps playing football at the next level.
Well, so my brother and I, we went to prep, of course. My sophomore year, after my sophomore year, I started getting a lot of playing time. And my brother, of course, he was a junior, and he was a 3-year starter. I didn't start as a sophomore, but I finished a lot of games. There was a little bit of a pecking order system there. And, you know, you had to wait your turn. If it was equal as far as talent and the position you were competing in, the senior played. But I always played and had a blast. And then after my sophomore year and my brother's junior year, we transferred to the public school, Lincoln High School, about a 5-minute walk from our apartment. And that's when things really blossomed for me.
Okay.
Yeah. It was one of the most talented teams. Well, at that stage of my life, when I went to Lincoln High, they had the most talent I'd ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like it. I went from a all-male, predominantly white high school to a high school that was, if you looked at the football team, you would think it was an all-black high school. We had my junior year, we had one white football player. My senior year, we had one.
Oh, my goodness. So you really shifted in kind of just who were around you and everything else. Okay.
Yeah, but it didn't affect me at all. I mean, when I walked out of St. Patrick's Grammar School, we were an all-black neighborhood.
Okay.
You know?
I see.
And when I say all, there was a great mix, but if you understand the dynamics of New Jersey and Jersey City, pretty much blocks define the community and the culture.
I see. Certain
little areas. So you can walk through an area that's predominantly Irish or a mix of Italian, and when you go to the north side of Jersey City, you get the Dominicans, and of course there's a little mix there as well, but you kind of knew as you went through different neighborhoods who lived there.
I see. There's a lot of indications of the culture.
Oh yeah, it's clear cut.
Excellent.
If you wanted to buy certain things, that's where you went. You went into their neighborhood to buy the stuff from the Dominicans, or you went, and if you wanted good Italian sausage, you knew where to go for that.
Go to Little Italy. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, you are on listening to Tony Samuel right now, former Husker coach, former Husker player. After this, we're going to get into his journey from Jersey City to Lincoln, Nebraska to play football for Tom Osborne. You're listening to The Law of Lift on 93.7 The Ticket.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
And Coppel Chevrolet GMC is following suit. The discounts are really as good as they've ever been. $14,500 off list price or 0% financing on select new models. Folks, you heard that right. Smoking hot deals at Coppel. $14,500 off list price or 0% APR. So take that short drive down 144th Street or at koppelcars.com. STK number G269520. All deals with trade-in and approved credit.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins'. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
You're invited to Valentino's big jumbo anniversary party, and we've got a gift just for you. On Thursday, July 31st, only buy one jumbo 16-inch pizza at a regular price and get a second pizza free. Hamburger or cheese pizza only on original crust. It's our way of saying thanks for sharing Valentino's tradition for over 68 years. Celebrate with a slice of Valentino's tradition on us. Pre-orders start July 30th, online, by phone, or in person, and the offer is good for July 31st only for carry-out or delivery at participating Valentino's locations.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT, from cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone and Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln with more exciting news for area car buyers.
Charlie, it's just announced that Honda of Lincoln has won 3 of the Lincoln Journal Star's Lincoln Choice Awards: Best New Car Dealer, best auto repair, and best place to get your oil changed.
Wow, that's great, Andy. Anything else?
Yes, we were runner-up for best pre-owned dealer and best tire dealer. A lot of people don't understand that we do sell tires here.
Very exciting, Andy. Why do you think your dealership is winning so many awards?
Charlie, we simply say it's the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business.
Looks like Honda of Lincoln is the great news headquarters for Lincoln.
Yes, and even all of Nebraska, we are also announcing that Honda of Lincoln's the only dealer in the state of Nebraska to win the prestigious Honda President's Award for 2024.
Honda of Lincoln, Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to The Law of Lift. Stories that lift you up, hearing people's backgrounds and understanding what got them to where they are. And today we are incredibly, incredibly honored to have Tony Samuel on our show. And so we are just getting to that point where Tony is excelling at Lincoln High in Jersey City, New Jersey. And he's really loving football. His brother's loving football too, just 1 year ahead of him. He's been talking about him as well. And you know, now we're about to talk about this next period of his life where he finishes up his high school career and comes to Lincoln, Nebraska. And so, Tony, we're so happy to have you on our show today. And we're just, you know, thus far listening to you talk about your journey from Trinidad to here, driving through Manhattan for the first time, seeing the big buildings, and then having to acclimate as a young child at the age of 10 just to a new culture and the city from growing up. Essentially, I know a lot of the parts of Trinidad are very rural and it's very country over there, right? And so you talked about that journey. You've talked about your journey in football, just kind of that first practice, not even knowing how to put the pads on, but you got it figured out. And that's how we always do it, right? We figure it out. We might look around for cues and try to see how other people are doing things, but we figure it out and we learn. And so talk to me about the finish up of your high school career and what it was like kind of for that next step to become a reality that you were going to go off to college and play football at that level.
Well, you know, it's interesting because when my brother and I went there my junior year, his senior year, we had to sit out the first two games, some sort of transfer rule. And when we were allowed to play, we were 1-1. We'd lost to one of the top teams in the city. And from that point on, I was so fortunate to be around so much talent that that was the last time I saw a defeat in high school. We won the rest of our games my junior year, and then my senior year we went undefeated.
Wow.
And you have to understand something about, again, you have to be very aware of the technology back in those days and the process. So in the process of recruiting, the college coaches didn't really come around until your senior year, especially into the Jersey cities of the world.
I see.
You know,
yeah.
There were places that you just didn't have that type of access.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was the old way of exchanging film, and you know, you had to mail your film in, and it took a week to get to the school, to the colleges, and then it'd take another week to get it back after they evaluated you and all that. Yeah. And so Lincoln High always had talent, but the big schools didn't really come in all the time. But we happened to have a great running back my senior year, Larry Young.
Okay.
One top running backs in the nation.
Wow.
So near the end of our senior year is when the colleges came in to check Larry out. And then while they're there, that was the procedure at the time, they'd sit and watch the high school film, and pretty much the high school coaches would recommend a couple people for them to take a look at.
Okay.
And Ohio State came in and liked Larry, and then they came in also and liked me. And from that thing, of course, you know, we're all Now that part hasn't changed. If one guy's recruiting you, everybody's going to recruit you.
Yes.
And so Monty Kiffin was the defensive coordinator at the time at Nebraska. Coach Osborne was just taking over as the head coach after they won the 72 the national championship. By the way, with Rich Glover at nose guard, who was from our rival high school in Jersey City.
I see.
And that's what piqued our interest. There's a Jersey City guy in Lincoln, Nebraska, a place we'd never heard of. First of all, you have to understand that as well.
Okay.
We never heard of Nebraska. We didn't know anything about it, but we knew Rich Glover was there, and he was excelling. He was the best in the business. He came third in the Heisman that year, and so he was the pride of Jersey City.
Wow.
And but once that started, that pretty much had my mind close to being made up, other than the fact I'd never been to anywhere in the Midwest before. So when we came there, we met with Coach Osborne, and then later on, he and Coach Kiffin came and met my mom and my dad, but my mom in particular, because no one told us what to do as a culture. So a lot of times it goes like that.
Yes.
It's very strict as far as how you take care of your business, but your life decisions are your life decisions.
Yes.
And so I told my mom I was going to Nebraska, and she said, well, I always liked the way Coach Osborne was, and that was it. Next thing I know, after going through this whole process, I became a Cornhusker.
Oh my goodness. And so give us the year. What was the year, your freshman year of college? What year would that have been?
My freshman year was 1973.
1973. Okay, so Nebraska had just come
Coach
off
Osborne's
back-to-back championships. Coach Osborne is a brand new coach. He's taken over from Bob Devaney. And, it's, wow. What was that like, just being here during the early 70s and playing for a brand new coach? Tell me about what your transition into college football was like, and just, again, leaving Jersey City, coming to Lincoln, Nebraska, the middle of the country. Like you said, technology was so different. So, I mean, literally you're standing in line probably to call home, right? Because everybody's using the payphones and everything potentially.
And you had the payphones in the dorms.
Yes. So you're waiting to call home, and your parents are upset because you haven't called, but you're like, Mom, if you knew what the line looks like, and I can't get to the phone as often as I'd like to. But just tell us a little bit about what it was like being in Lincoln, Nebraska back then in 1973. What was it like here?
Well, if you back up just a little bit.
Okay.
Keep in mind I came in the 60s. Mid to late 60s into America.
Yes.
I moved. The Newark riots were right across from us. Newark was 20 minutes away from us. You had assassinations, MLK. We had all that going on. You had things going on at Columbia University, and the 60s was something else, and all the different cultures. So everything there was a complete culture shock to me.
I see.
And just as I was getting used to that, 7 years later, now we go to Lincoln, Nebraska. And as you well know, Lincoln, the Midwest, Lincoln, Nebraska, is completely again different than anywhere I lived before.
Yes, absolutely.
But I was at an old age, a little bit. Of course, now you're a little older and a little wiser, and I've been exposed a little bit more to just an island. So just coming in there, I remember the structure. The structure was important to us.
Yes.
We didn't have much free time.
I see, which is a good thing, right, for young boys?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to have too much free time.
That's right.
There was I was never homesick, strangely enough. I know a lot of my friends were and got homesick and all that, but I was used to that type of living. I never really had to deal with that. But I remember guys, boy, some of them, it was tough on them. One, the level of football that we stepped into was nothing that we'd seen before.
I see. Okay.
I'd never seen that many extremely large people move so well. you know.
Yes.
And then and we had speed at my high school. We had world-class sprinters on my football team in high school.
Right.
So the speed wasn't an issue as much as it was the size and the structure. And now they're teaching us. They had so many position coaches and of course, you know, the training table and the weight training, which was just really getting jump started. You know, Boyd Epley had taken over about 4 years before that, and we were one of the few that did all that. Everything was new. You know, we had study hall. Every bit of our time was taken up. And when you move into the dorms, now culturally it's just a little bit different. Yeah. You know, now it's a majority white, and then you had a few black student athletes and black students. Predominantly, a lot of them came from the students that didn't participate in athletics. The majority of them came from Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska.
I see.
And
Okay.
a couple from Kansas City, but mainly Omaha and Lincoln. And so, again, a whole other new shift. You know, I had friends that had never, white friends. I'd met white friends that had never actually met a person of color before, and you know, the conversations we had were very healthy because they're the ones that we became friends with.
Yes.
They were very healthy conversations because we made it that way.
I see.
And but really, it was an interesting learning process for me. The 2 years that we lived in Abel Hall. It was very interesting getting to know each other and the coaches and people from the farm and people from the cities in the Midwest. And, of course, on the football team, guys from all over the country.
Yes.
And everybody was all state this and all state that and all American. And, you know, the best, of course, on their team and in their city.
Right.
And all this is going on right there. And keep in mind, I was 17 years old when I came there.
Oh, that's right. You were 17. Okay. Wow. So you're still young compared to some of these other guys who are 18 and 19, and just from a physical development perspective and everything else, you're probably still catching up, right? That freshman year.
Well, I was just my birthday was late.
I see.
And so yeah, but as a freshman, I could count on one hand. And I don't even need all the fingers to tell you who was physically developed as freshmen to compete with the older kids that were there 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years and playing varsity.
Oh, wow.
You could physically see the difference.
I see.
There's no question about it.
Oh, wow. So you're here in Lincoln, you're interacting with people from all over the country, and a very, you know, common, I believe, experience for a lot of, you know, student athletes coming into college is that you're now with the best of the best from all over the country. You're now interacting with all these people who, where they were from, everybody knew that they were the best. And so all those egos and all of that, you know, that energy being in one space at one time, sometimes there can be some challenges. So can you talk to us about any challenges that you maybe had to overcome when you first got to college in order to really find your path and get on your way here as a football player and as a student and being away from home? You said you weren't really homesick, which means that you were likely able to find some community here in Lincoln. But can you talk to us about any challenges that you had to overcome that first year as you transitioned into college?
Well, you know, that challenge is still the same. The first year in college, that newfound freedom is a big challenge, because we were very structured, but we still had our free time. And there's no one to tell you to turn the lights out and go to sleep in the dorms. You could sit up, not necessarily where you partying, but you could sit up all night. I learned a bunch of new card games and shooting pool. They had a club, you know, they had a little lounge downstairs and we had a TV lounge. And sometimes you just sat up and talked. And, you know, and we didn't really take care of our time as well as we needed to.
Yes.
That's true freshmen. And then we partied a little bit too much. And I think that's still an issue. So to me, that was the biggest challenge. You know?
Yeah.
We had people checking classes and we had study hall and all that. So that wasn't as big a problem as it was just running around and, all that freedom. And it really affected a lot of us right up until near the end of that first semester.
Wow. Well, Tony, so far, it's just been so amazing to hear about your journey, and there's so much to come. And, just kind of having the opportunity to imagine this young boy being able to be 200 yards from the ocean in Trinidad, and then coming to Jersey City, and then somehow finding your way into the heartland in Lincoln, Nebraska, playing for first-year coach Tom Osborne. This story is just continuing to develop, and we're going to have even more after this. We really appreciate you being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to The Law of Lift. We are here with former Husker coach and player Tony Samuel, and we're just getting some great jewels of information from him and learning about how he got to where he is as a coach, as a player, and as a person. So we'll be right back after this. 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet. O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
What's it take to be a mentor with big brothers, big sisters? It takes 30 minutes and a cup of coffee. A video game, best 2 out of 3. It takes sharing thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, and loaded nachos at halftime. That's how you make an impact on a young kid's life. So go on, share a few hours a month, because mentorship may sound huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big. To learn more, volunteer, or donate, go to BeBigNow.org.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio, video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to The Law of Lift, inspirational stories, and we have an inspirational coach on with us today, Mr. Tony Samuel, joining us from Nevada. And it's just great to have him on the show today. Tony, you know, we were talking prior to the break about your journey in college and about that freshman year and about how sometimes when you have a little bit too much time, sometimes we lean into that a little too much and end up not prioritizing the right way. And so I really appreciate you bringing that up, because I think that is a challenge for a lot of people who, first of all, leave home. And I think you had that challenge despite all the structure that you all had as football players as well. And so, you know, just imagine, of course, the people going off to college, as we know and we see with a lot of other young people who don't have all the structure of playing a Division I sport and knowing exactly when they're supposed to eat and what they're supposed to eat and going to practice and going to weights and everything else. I mean, having all that extra time can be a challenge. And so tell us about how you get through that freshman year and then how you start to excel here at Nebraska.
Yeah, well, you know, this being my second shot at coming into a new world, I felt like I had a little more experience to it than most of the other guys that were leaving their home for the first time. And but we created a great bond right away. There were some freshmen on that team, again, lifetime friends. I just talked to one a couple of days ago for an hour, you know.
Wow.
And it's just a bond going through this. We're all doing it together, you know. And the first few weeks were difficult because you come right in and you go right into fall camp. So you're practicing 2 days, and back in those days, we're long 2 days.
Yes.
And but once we got into a flow, it actually went fast. Now I've got to admit, now all the parties and things we did help. it did help get us through it.
Yes, of course.
And you know, Lincoln, Nebraska is a fun town during the season.
Yes.
And so we acclimated. We were able to handle what we had to handle, and created the bonds that we needed to have. It turned out to be a lot of fun and a lot of hard work and a lot of heart-to-heart talks with guys that initially were perfect strangers,
yes,
that were teammates and turned into brothers.
Wow. That's amazing. And so tell us about, you know, who your position coach was at the time and, you know, how that relationship grew and how important that relationship was for you. Because, you know, of course, we hear about the importance of that player and position coach specifically relationship because you're spending so much time with that individual and you're also spending a lot of time in the room of your position. So what was that like for you to have a dedicated coach specifically to your position, and what did that relationship provide for you?
So the varsity position coach was George Darlington. He coached the defensive ends at that time. But the freshman team, we had a freshman team.
Okay.
And that coaching staff was, the head coach was Jim Ross, who came from Wyoming with Coach Devaney.
Okay.
And his staff was made up of former football players, with grad assistants, student aides, and all those those type of things.
I see.
And they were all either trying to finish up and get their degrees or get into coaching. So the freshman team had a completely separate locker room. We were, back in those days, the varsity was in the South Stadium. The freshmen were in the North Stadium. We had our own locker room, shower, equipment, everything on that north end, and the varsity was on the opposite end.
Okay.
And so we were by ourselves mostly. We never practiced with or against the varsity until that following spring. When we went into spring football.
I see. Okay.
And so a guy by the name of Bill Snowy, who had just finished playing linebacker, came in, and he was he was actually my position coach on the freshman team. But George Darlington and George was Coach Osborne's first hire.
Okay, gotcha.
And so that was his first season as well as mine. And as you know, jumping forward a little bit, George and I ended up sitting next to each other, coaching together in the press box for 11 years.
Yes. Wow. So you all both came to Nebraska that first year, him as a coach, you as a player. And again, you talk a little bit about that transition. And, we've heard a little bit about those transitions thus far in your life, the transition from Trinidad to Jersey City, the transition from, going to the prep school that you started out at to high school, transferring from that prep school to Lincoln High. I mean, you've had these unique transitions over the course of your life, and it sounds like those have really been some of those defining moments. And, in this next hour, we're going to jump out of your time as a player and jump into your time as a coach. And we're really excited to have you on the show today, Tony, and you've been sharing some great insights with us. And ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to The Law of Lift on 93.7 The Ticket with Dr. Lawrence Chatters, and our special guest today, former Husker coach and player, Tony Samuel. We'll be right back after this.
Serving our listeners for 43 years, Wolf Ace Hardware, your local hardware man, would like to take the time to salute our military, first responders, law enforcement, and firefighters who are there for us year-round. Let's all take a moment to give them the respect they deserve. Wolf Ace Hardware, located at 6118 Havelock Avenue in Lincoln, a quality company that cares. Contractors and homeowners, get to Wolf Ace Hardware for all your paint, brushes, and anything else you need for your upcoming projects. For more information, call 402-466-7707. Pick up everything you need at Wolf Ace Hardware, where you're always appreciated as a friend and customer. Wishing all of you a very healthy and prosperous summer season.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left at once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Need service on your home air conditioner? No matter what brand you have, just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with pay starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion, for happier, healthier, furry friends.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
From the capital to castles, starting this December, fly nonstop from Lincoln to Orlando with service from Breeze Airways. That's right, nonstop flights to Orlando out of LNK are starting this December. You're now just a flight away from Disney World, Universal Studios, Legoland, and the Space Coast. Stretch out and relax on Breeze with complimentary family seating. Book your magical getaway now at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Real stories, powerful insights, and weekly inspiration to help you rise above life's challenges. Let's lift off with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. We're back. It's the Law of Lift. It's Saturday. It's Lincoln, Nebraska, and we have former Husker coach and player Tony Samuel on the line with us today. He's been kind enough to join us and talk to us about his journey and his story. And right now we're about to transition through college as a player and then also talk about kind of what happened after college. So, Tony, tell us about the rest of your college time here at Nebraska. You talked to us about that freshman year, about how things were different back then. There was a whole freshman team, freshman locker room. Things were separate. And you were fighting then to play in the spring against the varsity and just kind of see how things were developing and everything. So take us through your career here as a Husker and what that was like for you back then.
Well, I had to wait my turn. You know, the rosters were extremely large. And when we went through spring ball the first time, it was a whole new shock to my system. The play was so fast and so technical, and the players were bigger and more developed, and so it took some time to get accustomed to it. I ended up being a black shirt my junior and senior year.
Okay.
And my sophomore year, I played a fair amount. I played in 2 critical games because of some of the older guys getting injured. But my junior and senior year, I was a starter.
Wow.
I was a black shirt, and we had a blast. We had a real blast. You know. we had some great, in 76, my junior year, we came close to getting in the hunt for a national championship, and we lost in a great battle against Oklahoma. My senior year, we ended up 9-3, if I remember correctly. And then I sat out the following year to recover from some injuries, and I tried out for the Saints, didn't make it. And then I came right back to Lincoln, and about halfway through the freshman fall camp, and started coaching on the freshman team.
Oh my goodness. So you went straight from being a player to back here to coach. And so what was that transition like for you? Because we've been talking about transitions. We've been really focused in on this idea of the challenges of those transitions. So what was that like for you being a young man? You know, you'd played here, you'd had success, you know, really that junior and senior year, really coming to your own as a black shirt. What was it like to come back and be coaching these new kids who were showing up with that same kind of wide-eyed approach that you had when you got here to Nebraska? What was that like for you?
Well, I definitely recognize that wide-eyed approach that you're talking about.
Yes.
I was able to recognize it, and I can just empathize with them, what they were going through, because it was 5 years later, but it was still fresh in my mind, and the emotional part of it, of what that was. And, I sit back and I like to observe from a distance. So I was able to watch these players and talk to them individually. I coached the outside backers. We called them defensive ends back then.
Mm-hmm.
I coached those guys, but I watched all of them. And I knew how important it was for a 20-second talk with the right kind of energy behind it, the value of that to someone on a freshman team that was once an all-American and now is just another guy on a roster.
Yes.
So, I was able to notice those kind of things, and I felt like that was a big part of my role.
So tell me, when you're talking to some of these young, boys, basically, before they're here and they get a chance to really develop, they're really coming into their own. What was that like for you to have that opportunity to be essentially a coach so soon after your playing career? Tell me about, what kind of things do you think you were able to connect with them about specifically, and how did that help make you a better addition to that coaching staff because of your experience? And I'm talking about your experience from the very beginning, of the transition from one culture to another, the transition of rural to city, the transition of city back to somewhat rural, and the cultural shifts. How did you manifest that and bring that to the space to help these young people while you were here as a coach?
It's interesting because it goes back to pretty much my mom being a nurse.
Yes.
And she was always a helper and a giver.
Mm-hmm.
And her younger sister, my aunt, she came back and forth from Trinidad. She was a school teacher, and she always came back and was the same,
Yeah.
And they all were about giving and helping and teaching and explaining and observing and body language. We used to play games as children about reading body language to perfect strangers and telling stories to each other about it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I felt like it came natural for me.
That's amazing. So it was something that, from a cultural perspective, you had grown up with. You understood the importance of watching someone and how they move. And one thing I can remember from growing up myself is that every time I'd be walking around and my mom would look at me, she would say, "Hey, put your shoulders back, push your chest out," right? She wanted me to walk with confidence. Yes, right. She'd say, walk with confidence, don't slouch, right? Stand up, So these are things that I think, from a cultural perspective, that imagery of just how you walk through the world is important. And I'm sure you saw that in some of these young guys going back to the huddle or walking around with their shoulders slumped, and you just realized that their inner feelings were being manifested on their physical outward appearance. And you could step in at that moment and realize, okay, here's somebody that was the absolute best thing since sliced bread in Kansas City, Missouri, but here they are in Lincoln, Nebraska, and they're like 5th on the depth chart, right? you might need to step in and give them a little bit of a pep talk, right? So you're just learning in the coaching world. You transition into that space. You're coaching the freshmen. Talk to me about your evolution in the coaching world and how you get from just starting with that freshman team and how you continue to evolve as a coach as you're here at Nebraska. Talk to us about that journey.
Well, the more I did it, the more comfortable I felt. When I came back, I was around the office. I was also working part-time to make ends meet. And I was taking a class or two. I didn't want to take a full load.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to learn football. Keep in mind, the first time I learned football was in the 9th grade.
Yes.
So I was good about my position. George did a good job of teaching us what was going on around us as far as, on a defense. So we knew what other guys were doing, which helped us know what we had to do and understand what we had to do better. But the makings of football, the meetings, the preparation, all of that, what the coaches did was absolutely, totally foreign to me.
I see.
The good thing for me was that I was back in a place where I knew everybody. I hung out in the equipment room, the training room, the academic people. I knew everybody. And so I was able to be in my complete comfort zone around everybody. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel.
I see.
And by doing that, I could go sit in any coach's office. They'd gladly have me sit in there. I wouldn't say boo, but when they're doing work, I'd watch them. I'd hung around the grad assistants. Interestingly enough, a lot of the grad assistants, some of them had dads that coached high school football and things like that. And they were rounded more, so they had a lot more overall knowledge than I did. So I became pretty much for a couple of years a fly on the wall in some perspectives,
yes.
But I also was a teacher and a mentor in other perspectives.
I see. Okay, so it sounds like you just made yourself an absolute student of the game, and everywhere that you could find someone who would either be willing to teach or willing to allow you to be in that space to observe, you took all of those opportunities and you maximize those opportunities, just schooling yourself in the game of football and understanding all the meetings and the preparation for it and everything else. And so what would you say during that time? What was it that really sparked your interest even more, that made you want to fully pursue coaching as opposed to going into anything else? And talk to us about what your major was while you were here, and if that was something that you had ever considered, moving forward in that. And then one other perspective I want you to bring to the table for us in this discussion is, were your parents supportive of you going into coaching versus going to get a different profession, which perhaps they would have thought might have been a more successful path for you to take? Or were you very supported in the direction that you went with coaching after getting your degree?
I got my degree in education.
Okay.
And when I did get my degree, Dr. Kopp, those guys over there was something else. They talked me into starting to work on my master's. And they wanted me to take it in administration. We sat and had this long discussion about that because I was concerned about curriculum and how the nuts and bolts of how education ran. So I was just about, I took one class in education administration. And I was just starting to think, boy, this looks like this might be what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a pain in the butt with everybody and do that.
Yes.
Because, there's a lot of ways you can make things happen at that level.
Yes.
But I also at the same time was realizing that, this coaching was fun and I was good at it.
I see. Okay.
And, I never, interestingly enough, I never had the discussion with my parents about what I wanted to do. They knew what I was doing, but I basically all I had to do in our circle, in our family, was explain to them what I was doing.
I see.
I didn't have to ask permission. They already knew how I was. I was a little bit of a quiet but very intense, very competitive person.
I see.
And they knew if I got into something that I really liked, that's what I was going to do.
That's what you're going to do.
The
Okay.
only thing I remember I told my mom a couple years in. I said, I'm really good at this.
Yes.
And she says, okay, and it's fun. And so I did that between GAN, and then eventually became a part-time coach, which I don't even I think it exists now again. And then just as I settled in to work on my master's, I got Charlie McBride called me into the office to tell me that Western Michigan had an opening and that I was flying in for an interview in a couple of days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I worked with George exclusively the first couple of years, and then the next couple of years I worked with Charlie.
Okay.
I already knew what George was teaching because he taught me and I played the position.
Yes.
So Charlie coached the defensive line, the interior guys. So I spent time with him, which was quality, both of them. But Charlie in particular, because again, brand new stuff that I was learning.
I see.
And so all of a sudden, between all the ins and outs of learning how to coach and teach and recruiting and the psychology of the game and dealing with learning how to deal with the media from that perspective, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Charlie calls me in, and 2 days later, I go to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and the weekend I'm there, the day after I get there, they offered me the job.
Wow.
And my full-time career started.
And then your full-time career started. So it's neat for you to talk about that mentorship that you received from George Darlington and then Charlie McBride, and just the fact that you were so open. And Coach Osborne. Yeah, and I want you to talk a little bit about the time over the course of your time here as a coach that you did spend with Coach Osborne, because of course you all are you're having meetings for all the coaches and everything else. But what was your personal relationship like with Coach Osborne while you were here as a coach in the early part of your career?
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, what you want to also know about me, I am not necessarily an introvert, but I'm a little bit of a loner, and I'm an observer. I watch people from a distance. I study them from a distance. I empathize with people from a distance. I prefer to study people when they don't see me studying them.
Yes.
And so I watched Coach Osborne from 1973 to 1977, my senior year.
Wow.
And then I learned a lot about him then.
Yes.
I learned a lot more about him when I started being a grad assistant than a part-time coach, because now I get to see the guy that's actually communicating and talking with the staff.
Yes.
Without players present.
I see.
And he always led by example. So, I mean, there was no better guy to study from. And he knew all the players. He watched players the way I watched players. He probably didn't watch me as closely as I watched him. I watched them all. Gene Huey was the receivers coach at the time. I watched him a lot. Mike Corrigan, the backfield coach, I watched him because I liked the way he worked the running backs.
Yes.
John Melton was a great recruiter, so I studied and sat in his office and watched that. George and I had good personal conversations, but Coach Osborne was the top of the heap, and just his demeanor, the way he carried, the way he spoke to the team, his foresight. All that hit home for me.
That's amazing. So you were watching him. You said you were studying him from the time you got here on campus, and you would just see, his strength as a coach and how he interacted with players. And then when you shifted over to the coaching side, you got the opportunity to see the other side, and you feel like you got a chance to really learn from him from a distance and through observing his behavior and learning from his example that he set. And so that's amazing. And did you incorporate some of those lessons that you learned over the years in your own experience as a coach? And how did you perhaps take what you learned from him and also the other coaches that you worked with, George and Charlie? How did you incorporate that into this first full-time coaching job that you get at Western Michigan?
Oh, I incorporated all of it. Absolutely. those are the people I had to learn from. Keep in mind now, ninth grade.
Yes.
Organized football.
Yes.
So I caught up, but I still felt like I needed so much more information, so much more knowledge about the whole makeup of coaching, because I just never was around it, you know?
Yeah.
And at that level. So, I mean, I remember when George gave me the first book on football. I said, you know, I need to learn more about football. And he started giving me books to read. And you know, how to treat players. I learned that from watching Coach Osborne, you know. And keep in mind, he allowed everyone to be their own personality. We weren't cookie-cutter coaches. We weren't cookie-cutter players.
Wow.
You know, he had rules, but he allowed everyone to be themselves. And he carried himself in such a way that no one ever wanted to let him down.
I see.
And if it's one thing I learned was the power of his ability, and I don't even think he realized that he was doing it, but everyone else knew that no one ever wanted to let him down. But it's based on how he operated and his personality. So that was one of the biggest lessons I got from him.
Just really carrying yourself with a significant amount of poise and wanting people to feel like they didn't want to let you down. Like you cared about them, you understood them, you know, tried to be there in those moments when they really needed you. And so they just wanted to fight for you. Your players, they wanted to fight for you. They saw just how high level you cared about them and how much time and effort you put into being prepared and setting that example for them, it sounds like, as a coach.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And I mean, he's like that today. I guarantee you. He hadn't changed that. He hadn't changed from that perspective at all. But just the overall makeup of all the coaches.
Yes.
And the equipment people, the medical staff, or the medicals, everyone in that operation knew me since I was 17 years old. And so they allowed me to sit and observe and watch. I didn't ask a lot of questions, but I watched a lot of situations and how they handled it. I watched every single phase, how they handled situations, academic people, the counselors, everyone. And that was my learning ground.
Outstanding. So, you know, Tony, so far we've just heard so much about your journey. We've heard about, again, these transitions, which has been a consistent theme. We've heard about you being an absolute student and being a sponge when it came to learning from all the things that were happening around you. And it sounds like, you know, Nebraska really was the foundation of who you become as a coach, because being here from the age of 17 for those initial, you know, it sounds like 9-10 years that you get the chance to be here in Lincoln, and you're learning so much about yourself, but you're also learning about the game of football. You're learning about, you know, basically how to create a high caliber, high level program like Nebraska football. And it sounds like you just were taking so much information in. It sounds like being a person who was in the education space and majored in education, you were a true learner. And so as we get close to where we're going to continue this journey, ladies and gentlemen, as we're here, very honored to be talking to former Husker player and coach Tony Samuel, we're going to hear about his time as a coach and how he took all these wonderful lessons from being here at Nebraska and turned those lessons into being an amazing coach and an amazing man. So we'll be right back after this. You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket, The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. We'll be back.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Western Sand and Gravel is hiring for a variety of positions at their sand and gravel plants near Ashland. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Available positions include plant operators, dredge operators, and shop service technicians. They offer great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, paid holidays, and paid time off. No matter your experience level, on-the-job training is available to help you build a rewarding career with Western Sand and Gravel. Start your career today. Visit westernsand.com.
Play ball! Haymarket Park is buzzing with excitement this summer. Grab your crew and get in on the fun. Be sure to catch all the daily specials and promotions this season, like Thirsty Thursday, Fireworks Friday, Souvenir Saturday, Family Fun Day Sunday, plus special events and discounts all summer long. Don't miss out on the action as the Lincoln Salt Dogs take on their biggest rivals and knock the ball out of the park. Visit saltdogs.com and see this week's promotions and grab your tickets.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans, begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce is complicated. It affects every part of your life, your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions that it can take, it's times like this that you need a partner you can count on.
If you're a man facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today to connect with a local divorce attorney who understands the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Text GO99 to 323232. GO99 to 323232. GO99 to 323232. 1221 N Street, Lincoln. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. In Lincoln, Nebraska, we are back. You are listening to the Law of Lift. Today, we have a very special guest on the line. We have former player and coach for the Huskers, Tony Samuel. We've been talking about transitions today. We've been talking about the importance of being a student and learning. We've talked about the importance of education and just what it's like to move through different spaces and try to soak up all the information you possibly can. And one of the things that's been very prominent to me thus far in listening to Tony's story is that unlike other people who end up playing football at the Division I level, Tony first was introduced to football in the 9th grade. And so therefore he was a bit behind the 8 ball on, just learning and understanding all the different technicalities and all the different ideas that go into football. And so he had to learn very quickly, and he just made himself a student of learning from others. He soaked up as much as he possibly could. He, in his words, studied people, and I'm sure he did a lot of studying of people over the course of his time as a player, but also as a coach. And he was studying some pretty great individuals during that time frame. He's talked about George Darlington. He's talked about Charlie McBride. He's talked about Dr. Tom Osborne and how he learned so much from all of these people. And so now here we are in the story where Charlie brings him into the office and says, hey, you've got an interview coming up this weekend. You're going to go out there to Western Michigan and interview. He goes out there, he gets offered the job, and here begins his full-time coaching career. And so, Tony, we're so happy to have you here today. And I've just been learning so much about you. Our listeners have been learning a lot about you as well. So talk to us about this first full-time job as a coach, and then walk us through your coaching career and some of the different challenges that presented themselves during your coaching career as you continue to learn the sport of football and better understand that. But just tell us a little bit about your coaching career.
Well, of course, Western Michigan, I was very fortunate once again to be with a great head football coach, guy by the name of Jack Harbaugh. And those are his two sons that are in the NFL right now,
Okay.
Jim and John.
Jim and John, yes.
And, of course, Jim at the time was a quarterback at Michigan, and John was just finishing up. He was at Miami, Ohio. He was a safety. And John came around a lot when he wasn't in school, and Jim every once in a while because he was also playing ball. But when I went there, I was hired. It was in the summer, so I didn't have spring football with him. I was given the entire defensive line, where in Nebraska we split it up. George had the defensive ends, and Charlie had the interior guys, and of course Charlie was the defensive coordinator. But I had the entire front, and so that was different. But it was a lot of fun. I got some. The best part of that whole thing, again, let's start with the staff. It was an absolute great staff. A lot of carryover. Their style was different than the Nebraska system.
I see.
But there was enough in common that I was able to fit right in. And they allowed me to do my thing. No one questioned me. After I went on the interview and talked about the techniques and the process and all the type of questions they ask about when you're coming in on an interview, they never questioned how I taught them anything about that. They let me do my thing, which was very important for me because I did things just a little bit differently than your typical coach.
So what would you say was different about your approach versus other coaches at that time? And just tell us a little bit about what your philosophy was behind coaching as you were going into this new role, because clearly they were seeing your approach versus some of the other coaches that they were working with. And what was different about your approach?
Well, first of all, I was going to coach the defensive line. And there was and probably still is some form of a stereotype where they expect the defensive line to run around sort of like his hair's on fire, yelling and screaming and throwing stuff and talking and spit flying out your mouth and all that. And I know you know me enough to know that that's not me.
That's not you, right? That's right. That's right. You exude more of a quiet strength, so that's excellent.
Yeah. And I don't think I was at Western Michigan for 2 seasons, and they knew when I was upset, but I don't think they ever heard me yell at them.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure if I was yelling, it was usually if we're in a game and the crowd's so loud, I had to yell so they could hear me.
I see. But you just had a different
But
approach.
I wasn't a yeller and a screamer.
You
no.
weren't a yeller and a screamer.
But
Okay.
My point was made, and they knew it. But it was just different. Yes. I remember halfway through the first camp, actually, Jack asked me one time, he said, I never heard you yell at your players. And, my response was, well, coach, just look at the film. And he said, well, they go hard, they do everything right. So, okay.
But that was surprising to him back then.
Extremely hard.
Yeah.
It's just the expectation of the culture of coaching that the defensive line coach is supposed to be a yeller and a screamer. It's more of a sergeant at arms.
I see. So that was different about you. So you were there for 2 years, and then where did you go after Western Michigan? Tell us a little bit about that transition.
Well, the same thing, similar thing happened again. The offensive line coach at Western Michigan had come from Stanford as a grad assistant and I was a full-time coach at Western Michigan, but we all came there together.
Yeah.
And he mentioned to me, he said, there's an opening for defensive line at Stanford University, and we think you'd fit. I think you'd fit in over there. Why don't you apply? So I did. And Coach Osborne called down there, and he spoke with Jack Elway, another. So all my head coaches, when I went away from Nebraska, their sons were great quarterbacks.
Yes.
Or great athletes. So John Elway's dad.
Okay, is who you coached under at Stanford. Okay.
Yeah. And same thing happened. I flew in on the weekend. They offered me the job on that Saturday. I flew on Friday. They offered me the job on Saturday. And but I did have a spring ball there. Now, that was the first complete personality shift in style of coaching when I went to Stanford. That was new to me. We did run the ball some, but we won Western Michigan and Nebraska was a physical brand of football, hard running, very physical and type of football. Whereas Stanford, we did run the ball, but Jack Elway preferred to throw the ball.
I see.
And his skilled players, he wasn't that big on having them lift too much weights. Of course, Boyd Epley was up and running at Nebraska in full swing by the time I left there. And Western Michigan had a very similar strength and conditioning approach. When I went to Stanford, it was a little bit different. The emphasis wasn't as great on strength as much as it was conditioning.
I see. Okay.
But I was very fortunate there because the strength coach at Stanford, when I got there, was a guy by the name of Steve Schultz, who was an assistant strength coach at the time at Nebraska when I was there.
Oh, I see. So he understood everything and why it was important, but just had to do it differently there.
He had to do it differently there. So he had to convince me after we had the discussion. I had the defensive line. We're supposed to be in the weight room all day. So he had to convince me, don't worry, I'll get them ready, but here's the parameters. And he did. He got them really ready. And I had a great time with that defensive line there for 2 seasons before I went back to Nebraska.
Okay, so this is 4 years away. So you go to Western Michigan, then you go to Stanford. And just what was it like being out in California Palo Alto area, right? What was that like being at Stanford? I mean, for some folks, they hear a lot about Stanford. Did you enjoy it? You enjoyed it on the West Coast?
I loved it there. The weather was perfect. The campus was great. I loved it. It was a real relaxed, liberal style kind of a campus. Free thinkers.
Yes.
Of course, as you well know, highly intelligent people running around on campus. And I didn't know what to expect when I went in there, but I ran into more down-to-earth people collectively there than anywhere else I'd stayed at my time, at that stage in my life.
Wow. So here you have, and we're just charting your course so far, and I'm charting it as I think about all these different spaces that you're in. So from Trinidad up to Jersey City to Lincoln, Nebraska to Kalamazoo, and then Kalamazoo all the way out west to Stanford. And then you get the call to come back to Nebraska. Tell us about that, and tell us about what that was like for you to be able to go away for a little bit, kind of learn some new things and understand some new things. How do you end up back at Nebraska coaching with the very staff that you played for, the staff where you started? Tell us about that.
Well, a former teammate of mine, Bob Thornton, a good friend, was coaching the secondary, and he decided he was in finance and all that, so he decided to get out of business.
Okay.
And George Darlington decided to switch to coach the secondary, which opened up the position for me to come back and coach the defensive ends, which was the position I played.
I see.
And so Gene Huey, who was still the receivers coach there, and he and I developed a real good relationship to this day.
Yes.
We're really good friends. And he called me up, and he's another one every once in a while would call me Marlon, by the way.
Okay.
just in jest, of course.
Right.
But he called me up. Tony, what are you doing? Hey, Gino, how you doing? Da, da, da. He said, I got Tom on the phone here. He wants to talk to you. Okay. Hey, Coach. And he goes, well, Tony, and he explained to me what I just explained to you. And he says, well, he didn't even say the job's yours or anything like that. He just basically, he knew and I knew that the job was mine.
Wow.
And I went back that upcoming weekend, not necessarily for an interview, but really at that point, now I started a family. We had 2 children at the time, and
yes,
and needed to get back and start looking for a home and all those type of things. So we went back and spent a couple of days and started that journey.
Wow.
That 11-year journey. I ended up coaching them for 11 years.
And tell me, what was the first year that you were back here at Nebraska?
I came back in the spring of 1986.
1986. Okay. Wow. So from 86 through 97, you're here at Nebraska. And just from some preliminary digging and research that I've done, it sounds like you coached about 6 All-Americans while you were here. Multiple accolades just with your players and the student athletes that you worked with while you were here. 86 through 97, just an amazing run of Nebraska football in general. And so tell us, what was it like to come back here and coach, and how did you find success in coaching the people at the positions that you were coaching, and who were some of those standout student athletes that you worked with during your time?
Well, the most important part of that whole thing when I went back, they let me be me because I am different. And they know I'm different, but they also know I was going to bring results because they taught me, and I learned from them, and I observed them. So they let me do my thing. Charlie was the defensive coordinator. George had the secondary. John Melton had the linebackers. John was an assistant that came out with Bob Devaney. And then when John retired, Kevin Steele came in. And then when Kevin left, Craig Bowl came in. Greg and I were teammates at Nebraska.
Wow.
And we were GAs together. So basically, I was back where I learned everything, and I was around people that knew me and knew how what to expect from me, and they knew I was different, and they allowed me to be.
That's absolutely amazing. So you were just doing what you had done at every other place in your life, and that was being a student, being a person who was willing to step into a space with someone, understand what it took to help them become successful, and you provided that for them. You provided that guidance, that mentorship. Sounds like you had great relationships with the coaches around you. I know you were coming back to a place that you knew, so it wasn't foreign to you. It was somewhere that you had grown up. It was somewhere where you had developed, and so you still had those relationships. You still understood the culture here. And another persistent and consistent thing that you had was the leadership of Tom Osborne once again, and all those other coaches around you. And so, Tony, it's so awesome to have you on the show today and hear about your journey. And when we come back and have the opportunity to finish this thing up, I just want you to talk about, some of the standouts that you work with here at Nebraska, and then also the rest of your career, because you would go on to continue coaching and continue up that ladder. And we're just incredibly excited to hear about the remainder of the lift that has continued to propel you to where you are. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you're on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. We have Tony Samuel with us today.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Fuhrer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Fuhrer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing a family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Bros Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lincoln, Nebraska, you have just really been hearing so much about the importance of being a learner, about being a person who understands and can empathize with people, a person who takes a different approach. And that person I'm talking about is former coach and player Tony Samuel, who we have on the line today on the Law of Lift, just really teaching us today. And I'm learning so much today from you, Tony. And, you know, as we kind of go into this final segment, could you just talk to us about the rest of your time here at Nebraska as a coach, and then as you transitioned out of here and went on after the 11 years here to continue coaching?
Well, we had a blast. When I first came back, I was fortunate enough to have Broderick Thomas sitting there as a sophomore.
Wow.
And of course, he turned on and had a great career. When I went back, it was Broderick Thomas, Tony Holloway, Brad Tyre, John Marco, some of the guys that you hadn't heard from. Jeff Jamrod and Steve Stannard ended up being on my staff when we were at New Mexico State, for instance. They were all part of that first group. And but having that first group, when I first went back, we had to change some techniques and things like that. I went away and I used some of Charlie's techniques, which were a little bit different than George's, but I used all George's learning and his way of explaining techniques. I used a lot of the way he did it and incorporated it into my entity. But that first year was a great learning experience. When I first came back, that's when I really realized what I was missing the 4 years away, that opportunity to play for a national championship just about every year.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Just a different level, a different caliber, different expectations, I'm sure. And you had also, I would assume that you had different resources here at Nebraska that perhaps you didn't have at some of the other places that you were at, that you were able to fully lean into. And those things, of course, help, right, with your approach.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
So after you leave Nebraska, where do you go after Nebraska?
Well, when I was done there, I went to Western Michigan. I went to New Mexico State as a head coach. And I took that whole crew with me. Pretty much the whole staff were Nebraska guys, one way or another. Barney Cotton, Rich Glover, Jeff Jamrod, Clayton Carlin was a GA there. Bill Bush was a GA. Jerry Godowski was a great quarterback there. Steve Stannard was on my staff. Kendall Blackburn, G8 up there. Clint Brown played for me. I mean, it's on and on and on. I traveled with familiarity.
Yes.
And people I knew and that I observed for years and I could trust.
Excellent. And so, you're at New Mexico State and you're the head coach for the first time. Tell us what that was like from a transition perspective, going from being a position coach to then being a head coach for the first time in your career.
Well, first of all, I went from that last stretch run there. We won 2 national championships, came close to winning a third one. We lost to Texas, and then when I left, we inherited a New Mexico State team that had only won 1 game the previous year.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
and they didn't have the same budget. They didn't have the same strength and conditioning program. They didn't have the same nutritional program, and but we put together a great staff, and we started from scratch. And we dug our way out. We became very, very competitive. We won a lot more games. We ended up being the third winningest staff in school history.
Wow.
But it was a real battle, but very, very fulfilling.
That's amazing. And I'm sure the relationships that you build during your time as a coach and just continuing to be a teacher and continuing to be somebody who cared deeply about people, who, as you talked about earlier, you watched their body language, you understood the things that were on their minds and on their hearts. And as a coach, I think that's incredibly important. And, Tony, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on this show today and talk about your journey. I have just learned so much about you today, and I've learned so much about the importance of understanding what you know and what you don't know, and really taking the opportunity to learn those things that you don't know. So any final words from you today?
Well, first of all, congratulations on your podcast. I like the message that you're sending, and I appreciate you allowing me on there to be a part of your mission.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being candid and being willing to share the challenges that you overcome over the course of your journey, and telling us the story of a young boy who went from Trinidad to the highest levels of coaching, Division I football, and all the lessons that you learned in between. It's been great to hear your story and your journey, and really appreciate you taking time to be on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to The Law of Lift today. I hope you lift off. This is 93.7 The Ticket, and it's been wonderful to have time to talk with you all today. Have a great weekend.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.